You want answers?
What's that going to set up?
We've got to go to work.
It's the Strat Attack Show. But we're always wondering what the next two is.
Holy shnikes, it worked.
That's something I want to know about.
What's your name, scumbag?
Strat Attack Show.
We're on a mission from God.
Here's Rob Smith. Hello, everyone. I'm Rob Smith, the Smiths in the Black, and if it's Tuesday, it's a Strat Attack Show where we get into the urban assault vehicle and see what's going on. So, a lot of this is curb your enthusiasm because we got a new month, only 2 days into the week and not doing much. So we do have a lot of earnings gapping around, and that's great. But, we want to have nice long red and green bars. And so on the monthly here, you'll see that big red, big green inside. We poke up a little bit, but we know when this thing starts tanking here or here, to look for shorts. But we got to let them start going. Right now, you got nothing. You got a nothing job. And so here, if you go to here, nothing bigger. 2 days is kind of sitting here, but we do have earnings, and that's okay, and that's good. It gives us something to do. But as the month goes on, we want to let this week play out, see what we can pick up on the weekly stuff, and then the second week of the month is going to reconfirm or negate what just happened this week. So we want to get through this week, and see what happens here. So Q's also just kind of sitting here, and if you go to the monthly, we know that they took out. Was a 2-2 month, but it did it on the last day of the month, which is boo. Anyway, doji, so let's not worry too much about stuff like that. What we want to do is continue to look for clues, blues clues. We're looking for blues clues of what's beginning to happen, and then watch as things confirm or negate it. So what I mean by that is like SMH here backs off. Well, we're looking for that potential 3-2 if we can get going, but then AMD comes out with earnings, is dropping a little bit, just kind of sitting here on the week. Don't have to be the first person in there, So as more SMHers go 2-2 month, that gets more of my attention. Right now, we don't have that. You have NVIDIA trying to come up here 2 down, 2 up, but it's brand new, so we'll let them open. We'll keep going. Of course, we talked about the XLE, the potential 3-2. But it's not there yet. It's just not there yet. But what you do have, believe it or not, rig. Rig is a 3-2-2. And I know that's going way down the food chain, but it is what it is. And MPC trying to lead the way for the refiner. So MPC, and how we have so many macro signals in the, in the energy sector. This is what you wait for, and we just would love to have this work out. 3-2-2. But we'll wait for OIH. Almost there, and we'll wait for that XLE, and then watch all the members of those kind of things. So, DraftKings, we want to see something like this. The inside month, and then coming up, that's been a lot higher. We call that a used to be somebody. So DraftKings starting to come up, and that tells us Penn Gaming here as well, inside month to the upside. Still early in the month, but, we are looking for blues clues. Peloton actually coming out of the ashes here too, and I believe that was a 2 down month. 874, 822, right? So if we can take this out, and like I said, used to be somebody a lot higher, 1140. You're not there yet, but you had a nice day today. They're thinking about it, so we want to keep looking on that. Just like last week we talked about looking for volatility. HKD just exploded, just exploded off of that. Those dailies here. Here, let me go back. You can barely see it. Wow, this thing's blasted so much, but all this kind of stuff is where we were looking at it last week, and then it just exploded. And I know, when it gets up to these levels and ridiculousness, that it's untradeable up here, really. But, we tried to nail it down in here when you can, get out when there's some reasonable spreads. But for right now, it's all fun and games. Anywho, if we go to SQ, in SQ on the month, 2-1-2 month, and starting out, we can watch that with the bit turns and all that kind of stuff. But always want to look for these things that just got destroyed. And now, if the market starts to firm up like it did last month, we can start to take out some of those monthly highs, like in the SPY and the Qs and all that kind of stuff, and diamonds. Maybe you get something like this, the 2-1-2 weekly, and boom, off she goes. So right now, just starting off as a 2-1-2 month is SQ. Let's go to Carvana, another fallen angel. Carvana also destroyed, and now an inside month to the upside. So Carvana looking very interesting here. If we go to letter U, still 3 months inside of this thing, which would be an issue here. Just some of the shorter term stuff that we look at is those weeklies, and you can see this here inside. Poke down, Rev Strat, weak to the upside. So, like I said, you don't have to jump on everything to be the first person in, but you want to be aware of these signals and see if other things reconfirm these things to get them going. If you go to CrowdStrike, 2 up, 2 down, 2 up on the week, and on the month, you got this, mother bar issues. So mother bar means that here's an inside bar, and whatever is before that is the mother bar. And you want to get out of that. Otherwise, you got to be really aware of reversals. And at this point, it went inside, up, and now it's green again. So it's got a little of my attention, and of course, that's all the hackers and all the cyber guys and stuff like that. And hack, if you get this thing going off the inside month, that would get my attention. If we go to APTV, one of the early inside month and uppers, 312, 312. Looking to take this out at least 1137, and then we'll see if anything gets better from there. If we go to, since we've seen so many shenanigan stocks, these stocks is blasting out of nowhere, maybe we get some good old memers. Skills. And Skills is inside month to the upside over 168, and we know this is shenaniganer, but they've beaten her down pretty bad, and we've seen a lot of these things come out of the ashes, so we can keep an eye on that. EXPI is another one. Used to be somebody way up here, and now inside month to the upside. You had a 2 down, then inside, and that's over 1514. You're at 1588, so you're there right now. We can keep an eye on that. If there's any concerns right now, there's home builders, ITB. A lot of these things failing right out the chute. We're only 2 days in, but it was an inside week. Went up and is now coming back for potential 1 bar Rev Strat to the downside on the week. And Toll Brothers, TOL, not even strong enough to take out last week's highs, and now we're going inside week to the downside. KBH having some problems. Here, also trying to go inside week to the downside. So we've got some concerns in the home builders. And then we also have some financials. JP Morgan has taken out last week's lows. Right? These things are still having some trouble. And Citicorp as well. 2 up, 2 down on the week. So if we go to FAS, here still an inside week. It would get worse if we can take that out. XLF still handling an inside week. So we'll see how those go. If you go to LYB, inside week to the downside. We don't have a lot of those, but we can keep an eye on that. If that continues, we also have BERY. Here, there's a 2-2 reversal on the week. And so for a lot of these things, too, on the weekly, you just want to be aware that we're still handily inside months because we're just starting out the month. But, we do have these weeklies that we can work. And when we start off a new month, you can also have full time frame continuity to the downside, albeit not uncoupled until next week. You go to TTWO. That's a 2-1-2 reversal week to the downside so far. We'll see if that continues. And INCY, gap down today. Here, gap down today, so we'll see if that continues, because what that does is it sets up a month here with the shooter counters hammer 2-2 reversal down. So oftentimes you have to disseminate the gap, let it sit there and figure out what it's going to do, or they continue and keep puking, and then we can go nail it, or we can wait for some corrective activity and have it set up again. That's the good thing about having like monthly signals trigger early in the month. Everybody thinks they got to be the first person in there. You don't. It's like what you can do is you hold off, wait for another good daily signal, another weekly signal, and it might be 3 weeks later. But these are on the radar, and we just want to see how things go going forward, and keep always diligent on how many things are triggering up, how many things are triggering down. because a lot of people make the mistake of only looking at the futures or only looking at the broader averages. Well, there's a lot of sectors in there. And so they're all going to help confirm or negate, and that's why we watch it all, and that's why we make the weekend vid, and that's why we do what we do. So on that note, no hurry here. You know, we've got airbag and bag. Tried to go inside month and up. It's coming down on earnings. PayPal inside month and up and is ripping here. So, like, once again, you see this real destruction here, but you had your signal. All right, so if you can ever do those lottos and stuff like that, it's nice if you can have that signal first, right, and say, okay, now it's already triggering back to the upside. Ideally, what you'd want to do is when you do lottos, whatever you want to call them on the earnings, is that you wanted to know when earnings are coming out and have traded this long here as it came up, it was last month, and take part of those profits and roll it into some options. You know, if you're going to do that, because that way it's already paid for, as opposed to the guys that just go in there and just buy a lotto blindly on right before the earnings. This way it's already paid for because you had a nice move here, and you can say, okay, well, let's take a look at what the options are on implied volatility and say, okay, well, I can take 1/8 of my profits and just roll it into that lotto. It's nothing to me. It's already their money. So that's a good way to play the earnings if you're going to do something like that. So we're going to continue to let them open. We're going to continue to watch. Can we re-break these months? We're going to start 3 and back down. What's going on? So all that kind of stuff, good stuff, coming along, but you got to be patient. All right, everybody wants to jump the gun. I'm like, you don't have to do that. Once they start getting long, red, and green, they tend to get longer and redder and greener. Just like when people get blown out or when people say, I got out too early, that's your red and green bars that we're looking for. So that's going to do it for today. I'm Rob Smith, Smith in the Black, Strat Attack Show.
You've been listening to the Strat Attack Show.
It's over.
That looks like I'm running out of time again.
You ever seen a grown man naked?
And now for something completely different.
Yeah. Did you get that memo?
Let's go to Billy Baroo. Here's where they're buying.
Oh, behave.
Here's where they're selling.
Oh, righty.
I'd keep an eye on this. Is that a problem? It is.
You just don't turn it off.
I'm Rob Smith.
I hate Illinois Nazis.
I'm Smith in the Black with the Strat Attack.